Tim Burton has this new show that's the Addams Family, right?
Yeah.
And people on Twitter, it was like kind of a whole hullabaloo.
Quite the hullabaloo.
It was a hullabaloo that basically they called him racist for casting the black actors as bullies. And it kind of caught up and everyone's been writing articles.
It's like, that's like a total cannot win scenario.
That could nail on the head, Polish. So, yeah. Now that when you got that one right. No, when you get one right, that's I feel like you. When you get one wrong, you blame it on Polish Chuck. You know what I mean? Like you're saying like you didn't tell me to put all my money.
Did you just call me Juden?
Who's Juden?
Me?
I don't get that one.
Oh, it's the German word for Jew. That's what they call Jordan Peterson. Juden Peterstein.
Oh man. No, I'm saying that you're not. Daniel Polishuk is the one who comes and does the podcast, and we go on vacation together. Danny, like just Polish Chuck is the guy who gave me all the advice on what.
Gotcha.
What was the Topps baseball cards?
Topps baseball cards, right?
But the Tim Burton scandal. It's not a scandal. It's not like it's not a scandal. Also, but my point was like. The only reason I'm bringing this up is like my point that I'm making is like imagine trying to get like this kind of outrage to stick when someone's out there yelling the N like or saying that like Hitler's great. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like the news cycle is so dominated. Like writing this bullshit is like not a chance you'd ever get it to stick.
And this is
there was a time where you could get some traction on this kind of stuff.
Of course. And this is the classic thing too, where this is the two tweets. That are mad and you go, well, that's a story.
I know that is, but it did turn into a thing.
Yeah, of course.
More.
That's what happens is you find two tweets, you go, technically this is journalism. Somebody is outraged and then you post it and then picked up and you go, now it's a story.
So I agree. And I'm, we're obviously part of that ecosystem. So like a little bit, I will say that, I've thought about this kind of a lot, what you're just saying. Because, a lot of people make that point where they're like, was it an outrage or was one person outraged? But it's like, sure. But like, if you said like, okay, for example, someone on Twitter goes, hey, Liver King's on steroids, right? That's like, a few people on Twitter. And then someone makes an article. And then someone makes another article. Then like a more mainstream news picks it up. And it's like, so it does start there. It's just a matter of how high it gets. So you go, well... that is how the ecosystem works, though. Like every big scandal now kind of did start like that. You know
I mean, all news starts on Twitter. Like news is becoming. I don't know how much time I've been spending like a majority of my time social media wise on Twitter, just because it's lit and it's super lit. But I mean, that's where news starts. Like every news, like everything I read
feels like it.
Any big news story. Whenever sometimes I see it, it's like old.
Yeah, sometimes TikTok.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like the point that everyone makes where they go, it's a couple people. It's like, well, I guess that it was, but now it's real.
Well, now it's real, of course.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once like a bunch of places are posting about it and it's like a news, now it's in like publications. Well, it's like no longer just a thing on Twitter.
For sure.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I watched this and it was interesting because they did try to do like the complete opposite of everything. It was almost like
you watched the show.
Yeah, I watched like 2 episodes. I can't watch anymore. Yeah,
not that good.
I wasn't watching it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I watched a few episodes and I was like, finish this without me. I'm not interested.
Sure.
So probably my biggest problem with the show. Actually,
not enough black
you know what? It's a show for like girls or whatever.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to give it like an adequate like why it's crappy or whatever. Tim Burton's pretty cool. All the stuff looks pretty cool. Like whatever,
cool,
right?
Yeah.
But the thing that like kept annoying me from like a logical standpoint is that it's the Addams Family. So they try to shoe in all the Addams Family stuff, which is like a cartoon and a comedy.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense in like the real plot line of like a girl going to like X-Men style like freak school or whatever, right?
Okay.
So it's like you know how like Wednesday Addams in the Thing is very like no emotion, like she likes death and killing and all this stuff. But it's like then she's also like kind of a little mad that she's in a fight with her friend in the dorm, and she's like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, or there's all these things where it's like it doesn't really make sense. She's like, there's nothing she likes more than death. She's like, I'll bring it to my favorite occasion, a funeral. But then someone like gets accused of killing someone, and then she's like trying to stop it. It was like, well, wouldn't that be like your favorite thing?
Yeah.
So it's like all of the. when they make them so wacky because they have to. It's really like a
Is this a kids
X-Men
show?
school drama. I don't know. I think it's like a medium.
Yeah, okay.
It's like it kind of reminds me of like an X-Men-y thing. It's like a bunch of kids that go to this, like high schoolers that go to this like freak school or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
And they're all like, you know how these things are. The high school,
Kind of like how
27.
yeah, like how they made the Archie, like the dark Archie,
It's that.
like Riverdale.
But Archie didn't have all these things like, oh, Archie growing up would like eat snakes whole and stuff like that. So every once in a while they try to shoe in like actual Addams Family's things, and none of them really make sense because it's so the logical consistencies between the Addams Family things and the show I'm actually watching were driving me nuts. To be like, well, why is she trying to stop the murder if she just said she loves murder? Like it's her favorite thing in the world.
Let it happen.
Yeah, and then they have all these things where it's like, for example, they're like the one guy is accused of committing a crime, right? So they're trying to stop the crime. It's like, but then they go down to the lake and they go fishing where he throws a grenade in the pond and kills all the fish. It was like, okay, well, that's also a pretty big crime. So that's like probably 2 years in jail if you just throw a grenade and kill all the fish. I love
Ryan's like looking up the length of the penalties for this stuff. Like his girlfriend's trying to just like enjoy a show. Ryan's like, excuse me, that's actually a felony, not a misdemeanor once you use the grenade.
My point was, how come you care so much about one but not the other?
Totally.
So anyways, but they did also, and this is, I guess, the new version, is they do try to do like a swap on all of everything that you would think of as a stereotype.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like so the guy who's the rich guy in the town that's like the rich billionaire dude that owns everything is like a black guy.
Sure.
And then then they have they do have the black person that's like the bully, but it's like, it's sort of...
because a year ago, the white guy only bullies was only like a strictly straight white guy role.
Yeah, they do try to like flip
They're trying to flip it a little bit.
Yeah,
back.
So I guess whatever, I didn't feel one way or the other out of it, but I guess it is like, that's what you said, you can't win because you're like, okay, well, like, we'll cast people in like what we think is stereotypes, like the shitty white dude that's like an incel bully kind of guy or whatever, and they're like, well, we'll make that guy black, and we don't like that either, right?
Yeah, I think they just want Wednesday to be black.
I guess that would have been like that more. Well, she's Mexican though.
I know, but she's not black.
Yeah, but they're Mexican.
Yeah, no, I know that. I don't think the people who are angry about this take that into account, though.
Yeah, I don't think you're right. I don't think anyone's that crazy angry. But so my point was, it was just kind of like funny that there's no way that scandal can stick right now.
Yeah.
But there was that, and then they do have some funny things. Like this is what all of those, I guess, supernatural shows do. But they essentially use all the language of like bigotry and all that sort of stuff. But it's bigotry against like the rejects or whatever they call it, right?
Like
Yeah. So they have like, this thing, the school, they think it was on their land or whatever. That's our rightful land. The ghouls are they shouldn't be on our land. And
tell me they have a land acknowledgements.
Well, no, they have the land still, but they're trying to kick them out.
Oh, gotcha.
So like the normal like farmery type guys are trying to kick these, but the normal farmery guys aren't white. So it's like, but it's the same sort of thing. And this is probably the best one of the things that like they do. So they have the parent that wants their daughter to be a werewolf or whatever, and she like maybe doesn't want to be a werewolf, and they kind of make it like the gay thing a little bit.
Yeah.
And then over the summer, her parents are trying to send her to conversion therapy. They try to send her to conversion camp to convert her.
And they just call it conversion camp?
Like convert her to be a werewolf, yeah.
I don't want to be a werewolf.
Right, and yeah. She wants to be a werewolf at her own pace, but the parents are trying to...
Why is werewolf the analogy for straight, though? I feel like that would be more like...
No, everything's flipped.
Everything's flipped.
That's what I'm saying. It's like everything's flipped. It would be the opposite. You're totally right. And
this show sounds like a piece of shit.
It's okay. It's just for girls. But like the one good thing is Fred Armisen's Uncle Fester.
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah, he's pretty good in it too.
Back.
Yeah. So Fred Armisen Uncle Fester's kind of cool.
That's cool.
And he's wacky and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Still not watching.